Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're live again on YouTube, like we were live last night. Last night, wow. I went off the air and 10 minutes later, the world was changing, wasn't it? Christ, I should have stayed on the air 10, 15 minutes longer than I did last night. And who knows, maybe we could have reacted live on camera. But here we are this morning, we're reacting to some more news in regards to the football itself, in regards to Celtic. The SPFL have confirmed this morning that all professional football matches this weekend will be cancelled. So that means Celtic and Livingston is off tomorrow. The game is away. We're going to talk about a lot of things on this stream. And you know what? We may as well just get this out the way straight away. It's probably not going to just be tomorrow's game. It's probably going to be next week's game as well. Which is obviously against St Mirren on Sunday the 18th of September. That's not been confirmed yet, that's just speculation, but with the state funeral that will probably be, you'd imagine maybe Friday. I think that they'll probably extend the mourning period's maybe 10 days, and both games are within that 10 days. So I'm just going to speculate just now and say you're more than likely going to be looking at two games being postponed. But what we do know is tomorrow's game against Livingston is definitely postponed. That's off. No games will take place in the country tomorrow at all, professional level anyway, both in Scotland and in England. And we're going to go through the statement in a moment, which means there's a realistic chance, and just to start off this stream with the facts that we, well, not so much the facts because once again speculation, but with the realistic possibility now, we'll start off the stream. This could be Celtic's Wednesday against Shakhtar Donetsk could be Celtic's last game until October, because of course there is a break due after the St Mirren game. So we're meant to play St Mirren on Sunday the 18th of September at St Mirren Park, and then our next game after that wasn't until the 1st of October, where we play Motherwell at Celtic Park, 3 o'clock Saturday game. That could be Celtic's next game following Shakhtar Donetsk on Wednesday. There was rumours, there was talk going around that the British clubs might be excused from their European games next week. I highly doubt, I'm 99% sure that is not going to happen. Celtic will probably be playing next week. I wouldn't read too much into that. Listen, they can't let the death of one country's monarch disrupt a full continental competition, you know what I mean? But it is a bit of a mess now with everything being... And don't worry, I'm going to get in. I'm seeing a lot of comments piling through. We're going to have a bit of a discussion. These streams are always, these sort of videos, I've never shied away. If you've been watching me long enough, you'll know I've never shied away from the controversial topics. I have been political on this channel before, and I'll never not be political. I believe what I believe, and I'm very fucking vocal in that. Whether it's talking about Palestine, whether it's talking about British politics, whether it's talking about the monarchy, whether it's talking about anything, I will happily bring it up and I will talk about it and I will air my opinion. But I know that these streams can go either way, or these videos can go either way. People might get offended, people might be on my side. I'm going to do my best to keep things as level-headed as possible, but I will be airing opinion in this, and if you're offended by it, if you're watching this, and I know that there's a group of people in this country, more than a group, a large amount of people in this country who will be, they will be mourning, and that's your right to mourn. But the fact that the football is now being stripped away from thousands of common working people across the United Kingdom, from the top of Scotland to the bottom of England, I think is absolutely symbolic, and we'll get into that. But what we're going to do first of all, is go through the statement that was released by the SPFL this morning. Or sorry, not this morning, it was just moments ago, really. I think it was about half an hour ago, 12 o'clock, I think, that they done this, they released this statement. So following meetings this morning, the Scottish FA, Scottish Professional Football League, Scottish Women and RSQUO is Premier League, and Scottish Highland and Lowland Football Leagues have agreed that all professional football matches will be postponed this weekend as a mark of respect following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Following meetings this morning, the FA, SPFL, SWPL and Highland and Lowland Football Leagues have agreed that all professional football matches, it's just saying the same thing there basically. This postponement will also incorporate the Women's Scottish Cup fixtures this weekend. Rod Petrie of the Scottish FA, he said, "We spoke with our counterparts across the UK this morning, and in discussions with our colleagues across the professional game in Scotland, it was agreed that this was the appropriate step to take following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. We will work with our clubs and members in the meantime to ensure appropriate steps are taken throughout the period of mourning." Neil Doncaster said, "Following consultation with the UK and Scottish governments, the Scottish FA and our counterparts at the EPL and others, we confirmed that all SPFL fixtures scheduled for this weekend will be postponed as a mark of respect." And then they go on to talk a bit about the Queen herself, which isn't really as relevant to the situation Celtic find themselves in. But yeah, there they go. That's the statement that the SPFL did release this morning. The games will be postponed. Listen, as I said, I don't want to get overly political in case, I end up getting cancelled in the morning, but it's just so very frustrating that once again working class people will be punished and have things stripped away from them for a situation in which life should surely go on, that life should surely carry on as normal. We've all lost people in our lives, and I know that there will be the argument that the Queen is the most historical figure in the country's history. She is the monarchy, she's this, that and the next thing. And that kind of justifies this sort of break in normal life. But we've all lost mothers, we've all lost grandmothers, fathers, grandfathers, aunties, uncles, children, and life has to go on. As hard as it is, I for one lost my grandmother 7 years ago now, and I went to the football that weekend and life went on. The Queen is someone who a lot of people, your own opinion, it's up to you. You can mourn or you can take a break if you like. But at the end of the day, I feel like it should be a choice that people are allowed to take if they want to go to football or not, rather than being stripped away from them. Working class people are constantly being shafted in this country time after time again, and football fans being shafted time and time again. And I'm not going to turn the death of an elderly lady into an attack on football fans, but it almost feels like that because we've learned nothing from lockdown. We've learned nothing from the situation. There's been no lessons learned. Where football fans were constantly attacked throughout the entirety of a pandemic, where other people were given priority and other walks of life were opened back up to the public. What was the one thing that was continuously taken away from working class people? It was the ability to go to a football game. It was the ability to go and chat with your pals at the weekend, that release on a Saturday. That was constantly torn away from football fans. And this weekend, shopping centres will be open, theatres will be open, cafes will be open, cinemas will be open, pubs will be open, gyms will be open. From what I understand right now, rugby grounds and horse racing events will be still going forward, but football stadiums won't be open. And I, for one, think that is fucking bizarre, to be quite honest with you. Football can go on while also paying respect to the Queen. You can have a minute's silence. You can sing the national anthem. You can wear a black armband. You can show memorial videos and imagery before the game kicks off. You can stop playing music over the tannoy. But the game can go on and life can go on while paying respect. The Queen was apparently this big lover of sports, and yet football fans are having this taken away from them. And think about the people. And think about the individuals who will be affected by the loss of income this weekend. There will be people who are relying on this weekend's pay from football fans to buy the messages next week, to pay for the electricity bills this month. That's not just saying something to make it sound, more sympathetic for people like us. It's true. The people who sell scarves around the ground, the people who own cafes up and down the country, who rely on the Saturday crowds of football fans rushing to the stadium. That might be the difference between people being able to pay for their milk next week. And it's been torn away for a period of mourning in which some people might actually use the football to mourn. I've not got a problem with people choosing if they would like to mourn or not, but people mourn and grieve in different ways. And one of those ways could be by going to a football match. Realistically, why is that? Why is that something that should be torn away from anybody here? It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. And I've not got, listen, this is nothing to do with, people will, and I see some Rangers fans in the chat, they'll be saying whatever they like, they'll be airing off their own opinion. I've not got a problem with people's own opinion. This has nothing to do with my opinion on the monarchy. This has nothing to do with my opinion of the individual that was Queen Elizabeth herself. This is all to do with how we move on from it. Life needs to go on. Football fans and common people should not be punished, should not have life torn away from them, should not have their weekend release and their hobbies taken away from them, because there's nothing else we can do. We're being sent to work. We're being sent to work our jobs, but we can't go to the football. Why is it you must do this and you can't do that? It really does baffle me. It really does. But whole weekend's fixtures are being postponed. That's that. I've said my piece. People will agree, people won't agree, people like it, and people won't like it. But as I said, I've never shied away from my opinion. If you don't like it, lump it. Everybody's entitled to their own. I see people talk about Derek Ray's tweets are absolutely fantastic, I think. So when will these games be played? What's going to happen? Will there be a fixture pile-up? And it's already hectic enough, of course, with the World Cup coming up in November. Of course, we already know that there is a packed schedule in November time. We know that there's going to be a difficulty with trying to get this season played at a decent enough rate. So if we are going to postpone 2 fixtures, which is very realistic, I mean, we already know 1 for definite has been postponed, but if there's 2 that are going to be postponed, if they do postpone the St Mirren game and the games next weekend due to the state funeral and such, when are these going to get played? How realistic is it for us to fit them in at some point before the World Cup break or after the World Cup break? These are things that I feel like haven't been considered in taking the decision for this weekend. I feel like we've just rushed into it to make this decision to postpone the games. I feel sorry for everybody, not just football fans, everybody who's had things cancelled, because it's not going to just be football. There will other things be cancelled. I'm not sure about comedy events and stuff, just everything that's been held up and postponed because of all of it. And as I said, I'm not taking away anybody's right to mourn. If you want to mourn the loss of the Queen, go and do it. Nobody's taking that away from you, but everybody can mourn in all different ways. The Champions League should go ahead, as far as we know. As far as we know, the Champions League should go ahead. There was rumours, as I said earlier, that they might postpone the British team's games, but I don't see that happening at all. I don't think that'll happen. Yeah, I think that there's not much we can do now. It was always going to get called off this weekend. It's just about how they fit these games in now. I mean, you look at the fixture schedule. I'm going to just quickly pull it up on my screen, right? I'm going to pull it up here, and you look at Celtic's fixture schedule. If I can I get Celtic's website to load? Bear with me, lads, bear with me. I've said my piece. If you've missed the fun part, well, you can go back and watch it because it'll be up as a video anyway. I'm just going to try and find Celtic's fixtures very quickly, because you look through and it is absolutely packing. If I can just grab this up on screen now. I have got it. I'm just waiting for it to load. Okay. If I grab this up on screen now, this is just obviously to do with Celtic, this part. I mean, this will affect so many different teams. It'll affect Rangers, it'll affect Aberdeen, it'll affect clubs in England. But you look, we've obviously might have St Mirren, and that's the last game until October, because there's an international break, I believe, coming up. But then you look at that, we've got a game in the 1st, got a game in the 8th, we're still playing midweek at this point, where it's already a rush to try and get these midweek games in. Remember that, because the Champions League's being rushed as well. Playing the 15th, playing the 22nd. There is genuinely not a viable, there's not a gap. There's not a gap up until the World Cup begins. The last game before the World Cup is Ross County. There's not a single gap that you can put a Celtic game in there. So we're looking at having to move these games till after the World Cup. And then we come back from the World Cup. Our first game's on the 17th of December. We're going to have to throw them in, midweek. You look at the dates, and they're all Saturday games. We're going to have to throw in midweek fixtures in the second half of the season, realistically, which is very, very annoying. If these 2 games do get postponed. Well, we know that one's postponed, but if the other gets postponed, we're going to have to throw them in midweek after. And one question that needs to be asked is, and one thing that we've not spoke about at all is, what's going to happen to the fans, the millions of people across the country, not just Celtic fans? What's going to happen to the millions of people and the millions of working class people up and down Britain who have paid for transportation, accommodation, tickets for these weekend's games, all up and down the country? in the middle of a cost of living crisis. What is going to happen to these people? Are they going to be reimbursed? Is the government who's spending millions and billions on state funerals and everything else going to reimburse fans who are struggling to pay their lecky bills but, thought they'd do something nice for their dad's birthday this weekend? Are they going to reimburse? Is the government going to look for a way to sort this? Because it's last minute cancellations. The games are meant to kick off in, just more than 24 hours time. Some are meant to be tonight. And they're now just being cancelled. People aren't going to get refunded by travel companies. It's not going to happen. So where is the reimbursement going to come from? Honestly, I just feel like that we could have went about this in a way that still pays respects if you want to. If you want to pay respects to the Queen, if you want to pay respects there, you could have done that. That could have been done. That could have been done through singing a national anthem, a moment's silence at these football games, wearing a black armband if you like. Getting the players to wear them. So why do this? Honestly. Yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. I'm going to wrap it up there. I appreciate everybody who has turned up, who, is in my corner. But obviously everybody's entitled to their opinion. But everything I've said, I don't take any of it back. I believe what I believe. And there's so much that it's really frustrating about all of this. But I'm going to wrap it up there for today. I don't know what this means in terms of content for the next, there could only be one game, as we know now, heading into the next month. So, yeah, that's got to do me there. Ladies and gents, thanks for watching. Have a good weekend if you can. Obviously, it's going to be a bit annoying without the football, but have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Cheerio.